You are.
You know, of all the events I've done, this is probably the most I've seen of people talking at the start of an event, you know, all together. It's really weird. I thought it might have been the opposite, where it was all going to be really quiet.
That's because you've worked with the entire of West Yorkshire.
Let's be honest though. I mean, it was never going to be quiet whenever I was here, was it?
Very true.
Well, I don't mean to ruin the party, but I am going to tell everyone to be quiet now, unfortunately. Boo. Sorry, guys. Right, we'll make a start. Just a bit of, we'll get the boring stuff out of the way, just a little bit of housekeeping. If you could go on mute just while Kathleen's doing a presentation, and then promise at the end you'll get the chance to ask questions, make comments. We'll get through the presentation first so that there's no kind of feedback and we can all hear what Kathleen's saying. Just need to make you aware we're recording this session as well, just so you know. Right, I'm going to kick off by sharing this screen. Can everyone see that?
Yeah.
Yes. So we're going to mute.
Great. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so a little bit about our speaker today, who is Kathleen Allen. So Kathleen's the Technical Engineering Manager at Covéa. A little bit about Kathleen. Kathleen's an agile enthusiast, and she spent 5 years in the trenches of software delivery. She's got experience working across a number of industries, including healthcare and financial services. This says we're not being a geek at work, just to point out these are Kathleen's words, not mine. She can be found attempting to learn Mandarin and spending quality time with her Yorkshire Terrier, or even blasting out a Zumba session. So Kathleen, I am now going to hand the reins over to you.
I'll share my screen on here, Tasha, just because my internet connection is a little bit fragile.
No problem. Shall I stop sharing?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Can everyone see okay?
Yes.
Super. Okay, so a wise mentor of mine once said that life was all about choices, and I couldn't agree more. You know, it's been my choices that's led me here tonight to do this talk, and it's been your choice why you've ended up here. And just earlier on, I was saying there that my internet connection was a little bit fragile, and it was because my internet has been playing up. It literally went down at about 3 o'clock, and Tasha was like, oh, should we cancel? Should we just tell people? I'm sure they'll understand. And life's all about choices, and I could have chosen in that moment to be like, yeah, you're right, I'm absolutely freaking out about tonight, let's cancel. And I thought, no, I'm going to do this because this is what it's all about, pushing yourself outside that comfort zone and not letting these little small things take you by surprise. And so my choices then, I'll explain, I'm going to take you on a journey. And so I'm going to take you back, I'll take you down memory lane, whereby it was about 2010, September 19th. And you can see where this is going because my boarding pass is on there, and I was leaving from Derry. So anyone who doesn't know me, I'm from a little city in Derry. Anyone who's seen Derry Girls, unfortunately, I'm not one of the Derry Girls, but if you want to know more about Derry Girls, have a little watch of that series on Netflix. And so I was waving goodbye to my mum, and I remember thinking to myself, you know, this is a major choice, not just because I was going off to university and I was going to England for university, but because this was a massive step, and none of my friends were doing this. No one was taking the decision to move to England. Yeah, they were going to university, but they weren't going to England. And I suppose you probably won't even believe this story because it seems that far-fetched. And I don't even know how my mum, and she's actually on the line tonight because she's having a little listen. I don't know how she let me go to England because I had no money. And I remember thinking to myself before going that Sunday morning, should I even be doing this? You know, I don't have any money. What am I going to do? And so Nick, my fiance, decided, you know, let's go over together. And I thought, right, great, let's be resourceful. And so with no money, I thought, well, where are we going to stay? So I decided to look on Gumtree, as you do, and reach out to a guy and says, look, I've seen that you've got a studio apartment here. Is there any chance that, you know, I could stay, and then 2 weeks later, whenever I get my student finance, I'll pay you? And he says, yes. And I thought, well, this is how people get kidnapped and go missing, because, you know, they do stupid stuff like this. But, you know, we got there, and it was that major choice that brought me, you know, to university. And then I ended up staying in Bradford. And I must stress that it's not all about the big choices, it's about the small choices. You know, I decided whenever I got to Bradford, I decided to stay. I decided to try and be resourceful because I had no money to stay here. And I thought, well, I could have easily just went back home. I could have easily just, you know, done the easy thing and stayed with my parents, but I didn't. And that's what it's all about. Life is all about these choices. And again, tonight, as I said, you know, I could have decided, oh, this is going to ruin my night, you know, this internet issue, blah, blah, blah. Nick, my fiance, was more stressed than I was. And I was like, just chill. Worst case scenario, I'll send someone else my slides and I'll just dial in and talk, because everyone knows that I can talk. I could talk for Ireland. And so I suppose the next step of my journey then was the race that took 3 hours. And while this isn't necessarily something that is my career, I wanted to share it with you because it's a really powerful message. I decided after university that I was going to take on a challenge. I thought, well, what am I going to do? And I decided I'm going to go from couch potato to half marathon. Me, who had never run before in my life, I decided this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to quickly change that picture because I don't like pictures of myself. So you can see my finisher medal. But I thought to myself, I'm going to do this. And so I decided I'm going to sign up, because if I don't sign up now today, I won't do it. I knew my own mindset. I knew that if I had this idea that I'm going to go and do this half marathon, that I would leave it. And it's that 5-second rule of thinking about an idea and then acting on that idea within 5 seconds. You want to get up in the morning and you're kind of hitting the snooze button, count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom, get up. And that's what I done here. And I remember saying to my brother, I was back home for the weekend, my brother Andrew, and I said to him, I'm really struggling here trying to just go without stopping. And he says, well, why don't we drop you out then? You know, I'll leave you a few miles away from the house and you can try and come back. And I said, oh, that's a good idea. And I says, right, you drop me 3 miles. And he says, well, are you going to stop? And I says, well, of course I'm going to stop. Because I haven't yet mastered, I haven't been able to break that boundary. And so he says, look, I'll drop you 2 miles. And if you feel like giving up and you feel like stopping, just slow down. Just slow down. I thought, oh, this is a big ask. And so he leaves me off 2 miles away. It's a beautiful setting. It's along the quay in Derry. You've got the River Foyle on one side, and you've got the sky line in the background, and it was absolutely stunning. And I was there, and I felt really pumped up, and I felt motivated, and I thought, you know, 2 minutes in, I've got this. And then about a minute later, I was gassed out. I thought, oh my God, I have another at least half an hour to go based on my own times. But I thought, no, I can do this. And I kept on reminding myself, and it's the same in career, no matter what you're doing, how bad do you want this? I obviously signed up for this for a reason. And it was to challenge myself and put myself in my comfort zone. Yes, I could have stopped, but I didn't, because I decided to say to myself, I want this for me. And so I was plodding along anyway, and I must have got to, you know, a good a mile and a half, nearly 2 miles. I thought, I can do this. And I was getting so excited. And that's the thing about whenever you decide you're going to do something out of your comfort zone. You might not have hit the goal, but I had surpassed everything that I had already achieved before that, because I had never been able to run without stopping. And so I thought, this is exciting, I can do this. And I got to the 2 miles and I was so ecstatic that I just kept on going. And I must have reached about 3 miles and I couldn't wait to call Andy up. And I was like, Andy, I did it. And it was at that point that I realized I can do anything I want to do. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to be any kind of athlete. I'm not going to be, you know, signed up to any kind of athlete program anytime soon. And as my mum always would say, you can't be good at everything. And I wasn't trying to be the best at this, but I was proving to myself that I could do something. And that's what you need to do. You know, this is one of these techniques that I would, you know, really advocate for, is just do it. Don't listen to that voice in your head. And you'll hear me saying that, you know, over and over. And I remember a friend of mine, Laurence, who I think's on the call this evening, she got me to read a book, The Chimp Paradox. And I remember thinking, yeah, that's that voice in my head telling me that I can't do this. And for the purposes of this conversation, I'm going to call her Darcy. And she just kept on saying things that, you know, you can't do this. And I thought, no, absolutely, I can. And I suppose you're probably thinking there, you know, well, what does this mean in terms of doing this in real life? What does it look like? And it's all about a mindset. It is your mindset. And it comes back to what I said earlier on about choices. I said that I had the choice to be angry and upset and worried about, you know, not having internet, but I made a choice that, well, whatever will be, will be. And so I suppose to move on to the internship and getting a job and how I lost it, and you're probably thinking, oh my God, how did she lose a job? I had just finished university, and I managed to secure a job at the company that I got an internship at. It was Take Data up in York. And I remember thinking, this is absolutely fantastic. I managed to get a job after uni. I'm set for life here. Yeah, well, not set for life, but I'm set for a while yet. And so I was into that job for a few months. But before I got the job, whenever I was at uni, I remember thinking to myself, I was back maybe 2012, I'm gonna apply for an internship. And I remember thinking to myself, you need to do this. And I kept on procrastinating. I kept on putting it off. I kept on prioritizing other things. And I finally said to myself one day, if you want this, you're going to have to do something about it. You can't just wait for it to happen. And so I started applying for jobs, and I eventually got to May. It was May of 2012. Bearing in mind the next school year started in August 2013. And I said to myself, right, you're going to have to buckle down now and get this experience, because if you don't, you might end up with a degree and you have to go back home. And for anyone who knows me and knows back home's Derry, Northern Ireland, and it's not the same market, it's not the same jobs. If you want a job, likely chances are you're going to have to go to Belfast. And I thought, no, this isn't me, I'm going to do this. And I drove from Bradford to York for this interview. And I remember that sickly feeling, I'm sure I'm not the only one that gets it. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to show myself up. I don't want that feeling of worry and nervousness. And I remember there was a test. There was going to be numeracy and verbal reasoning and things. And I thought, I can't do it because I know I'm not good at those things. And I thought, look, just put the voice to one side and stop worrying about that. Turn worry into action. So I did. I got out of the car and I walked towards the building. I took a deep breath and I thought, I can do this. Smashed the interview so much that they called me on my way home and says, you've got the job. And I thought, this is great. What was I even worrying about in the first place? And eventually you're probably thinking there, well, how did you lose the job? And sometimes you end up moving out of your comfort zone because you want to push yourself out of your comfort zone. And especially during COVID, a lot of people find themselves in a situation whereby they've been forced out of their comfort zone, genuinely because the company's either made them redundant or whatever it might be. And that's what happened here. That's what happened to me. I ended up being made redundant because the company Take Data had been moving their operations over to Spain. And I remember thinking to myself, well, what did I do now? You know, I was only 20 something. I can't even remember what age I was maybe 22, 23. I remember thinking to myself, well, I have no idea. Do I move back home? You know, how am I going to pay the bills if I can't get another job? I don't really have a proper job because this was the first one after university, and panic mode just set in. And again, it's coming back to that mindset of just taking a breather and being prepared for this. And not everything that happens it seems bad at the time is actually bad. So I hope this guy doesn't mind me, you know, sharing his story. But he was an analyst at Take Data. And because of this, he was able then to go and pursue his dreams to become a train conductor. I mean, that just would have never happened otherwise. And it's about learning to adapt to these situations, being able to see the opportunities when everyone else can just see the negativity. And I suppose at that time, I didn't really embrace that, to be honest. And I remember my old manager, Peter, he was absolutely fantastic. And he got me to read this book, and it was called Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson. And if you haven't read that book, genuinely, it'll take you about 20 minutes, half an hour to read it. And it's absolutely fabulous. And it's about change. And I had recognised that as soon as I got the job at Take Data, I was comfortable. I had hung up my running shoes, as the book, articulates. And ever since that experience, it happened to me at such a young age that, you know, being made redundant and these things can happen. My mindset now is always to keep fresh, always to keep on putting myself out there and keeping up to date and not getting comfortable. Because if you get comfortable and the rug is just ripped from under you, you're going to feel scared, you're going to feel panicked. And I did as well. And I was worried what people were going to think. What's my mum going to think? I've been made redundant already. I'm only 20 something in my first job, you know, and all these things are flying through your head. But it's okay because things happen. And I was hungry. So I was hungry about, you know, getting a job. And whenever I moved on to Equifax from that job, you know, I was working with transition partners, Ellie, and she was just absolutely fantastic. And she says, don't worry, you know, you got this. So I got an interview at Equifax and managed to secure the job. But I found myself, you know, 2 years in, it was about a year and a half maybe, and I thought, I'm missing something here. I need to go and explore. And I was just so hungry to move on to the next thing. And I thought, I'm going to reach out here. And I started to go to meetups and things, even before it was a thing. It was maybe back in 2015, 2016, before meetups really became a thing. And I didn't even know it at the time, but I had started moving outside of my comfort zone without even recognizing that I was doing it. And so a lot of people, I used to work with people, and they were absolutely fantastic people, really, you know, talented engineers and business analysts. And some of them were fine with, you know, coming in, churning the wheel, not, you know, really want to move out of their comfort zone. And that's okay, because it's okay to be in a comfort zone. But for me, I didn't want that. I wanted to absolutely smash through my comfort zones. And so I decided then to reach out to a mentor. So I decided to reach out to IIBA UK, which is the International Institute of Business Analysis. And they were doing a mentoring scheme. And I thought, I'm going to sign up for this. And so I did. And I was absolutely terrified. Again, worrying about going to this event in Manchester. And I, back then, wasn't a social butterfly. You know, I was quite nervous. I was really anxious, and, you know, and all these things has taken time. And eventually I just plucked up the courage and I went, and I had this relationship with my mentor. And it was actually her that gave me that inspiration to just, it doesn't matter about your job title. And then I started to think, oh, you're right. What do we mean by job title? And I suppose it was then that I started to move beyond my job title. So I used to be called a junior business analyst, and I know that, you know, Tony's on the call as well, and she was in the same boat as I, and we were both so hungry. We were like, we're not junior BAs. We're absolutely doing this. We're doing all these other things that other BAs are doing. And so I wasn't bound by that job title. You know, it was seen that more senior BAs were going to be working on big requirement workshops and going on to client site, because at Equifax you didn't really do client site. It was only very seldom that kind of opportunity came up. I thought, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put myself out there. And so that's what I did. And I suppose one of the biggest things that I would say here, if you haven't already noticed the trend of where I'm going, and it was my #1 tip that I said that I would share with you, is taking action. You need to be absolutely just obsessed with action. And that's what I was doing at Equifax. I started to go beyond the bounds of my role and start doing all these extra things, like get involved with the charity committee. I decided I wanted to do that and raise money. So I think I raised over £4,000 just by doing a tuck shop, because I wasn't bound by that title. And I remember with events and stuff, I remember going to one of Ellie's events and thinking, you know, I would love to do something like that. I thought, no, I'm absolutely terrified. I don't know how to go about doing it. I don't know how to even approach Ellie and say, this is what I want to do, because I didn't feel good enough. I didn't feel like I had the knowledge or the experience or anything along those lines to actually just go out there and put myself on the line. But then the hunger didn't stop. And so I decided to, at some point, you know, I moved to BGSS again, the help of Ellie. And this isn't me trying to do a sales pitch for Ellie, it's really not. But she was just fantastic and has helped me through my journey. And I suppose something key here actually is that I built up that relationship with Ellie so that she was able to look out for opportunities for me as well. And it comes back to what, you know, my brother was telling me, you know, I knew that you could do this, you know, I blah, blah, blah. And it's about having that support network. It's about having people around you that are positive and that force you to be your best self. If I had had a brother that had said, oh, well, you're never going to run 2 miles, never mind 3, so don't even bother. Imagine I had someone like that. It would have been a completely different story. And it's the same with all these people that I had surrounded myself with. And so Ellie introduced me, and I got my next job at BGSS. And I remember still thinking, I'd love to do one of these events. But I didn't know how to do it, and I didn't know how to put myself out of my comfort zone. And then again, my support network, I started networking, building up these relationships with people. And my line manager at the time, bless him, he was a fantastic guy. He would always say, I'm your facilitator. I want to find you opportunities to move on and do these things. And so he set up my first ever lunch and learn. Oh my God, I was a train wreck. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, because I promised to tell you my journey, and I was terrified. It must have took me about 3 months to actually prepare for this. And all it was to do was crafting user stories, something that I absolutely knew inside and out. I knew this stuff, but I was panicking. I was doubting myself. The voice in my head was you know, rambling on, and I had to say to her, just stop. I can do this. And eventually I decided to do the lunch and learn, and I was there and I was giving the talk. And I was always worried about the audience, because you never know how the audience are going to, you know, turn. Are they going to be idiots? Are they going to be nasty? Blah, blah, blah. And there's always one. There is always one. So please don't do it tonight. I'm only joking. I'm a bit of a veteran now, so it's okay if you were mean. We've got enough backup on the call to help. But he just kept on asking difficult questions, and I remember being a little bit deflated after that. You know, first session, you know, my first lunch and learn, my first talking in front of people. I thought, I'm not going to do this again. I've put myself out there, and this guy was just a bit of an ass, to be frank. I thought, well, I could let that define me. I have a choice here where if I wanted to do this again, and I decided, no, I'm not. I'm going to keep on pushing because that's what I want. I want to keep on pushing myself. And so the next event happened, and the next event happened after that. And even tonight, you know, I remember if someone had asked me, can you speak at an event? I'd be like, oh, I need a couple months notice because I need to know what I'm going to talk about. But Becky asked me, maybe it was around 2.5 weeks ago or something, can I do this talk? I said, yeah, surely, no problem, because I know that whenever I get into the swing of it, I'm going to be fine because I know that's the way I operate. I'm self-aware enough to know that this is me. So if you get presented with an opportunity, just say yes. Don't worry about whether you can do it, blah, blah, blah. Just take action and make it happen. Another example, whenever I was at BGSS, that really helped shape my career, and it's probably one of the most fundamental moves that has helped me get to the position that I'm in now, was a squad lead position came up. And so at BGSS, there was this new concept of having squad leads. And I remember seeing the job advert come up for it. And I thought, oh, this would be, you know, great. This would be an opportunity now, you know, to get my foot in the door to leadership. And then I met with Jo, the people lead, and she said that you could be managing up to 50 people. And I was like, no, no chance am I going to be able to do this. Me manage 50 people? I don't even mind manage 1 people, never mind be responsible for 50 people. How am I going to do this? Again, it was that voice in my head, and it was worse this time because it was something that I really wanted. I really wanted to move forward into this leadership position. I just didn't know how, and I thought to myself, if I don't take this step and apply for this role, I'm only going to regret it, and I can't in a year's time thinking I'm never getting opportunities, I'm never getting a chance to do this. You need to look out for the opportunities and push yourself forward. You might not even realize the opportunity's there. I'd even go as far as to say that I don't wait for opportunity to knock. If opportunity came knocking on my door, I won't be in because I'm already out looking for other opportunities. And I was saying this to someone at Covéa the other day. I was saying that, you know, it's probably my superpower to find these opportunities for people to shine and do things, because it's a mindset. As I said before, it's about finding these opportunities. And anyway, to go back to the example of the squad lead role, I remember all the excuses that I was telling myself that I wasn't experienced. I was looking and I was falling into the comparison trap. And I was comparing myself to the colleagues that were going to be applying for this role. They had line management experience, they had people experience, they were in, more leadership roles, not all of them, but some of them. I thought, I can't do this, I'm not gonna. And I thought, and as I said, I took that step back. And as my mama bear would always say, and it's really powerful, is if you fall down, just pick yourself back up and take a breath and go again. You know, what is the worst that's going to happen? You're going to look silly to who? Who's going to laugh at you for not getting the job role? And even if someone did and they call yourself a friend, then is that really a friend? Probably not. And you probably don't want to surround yourself with those negative people. You know, you want to surround yourself with people that can support you and people that can actually push you. And so I suppose it was that thirst for knowledge and, hunger to just go on and do it that I ended up becoming a squad lead. And that's what helped shape my experience. But I can tell you that if I wasn't brave and Darcy took over my mind to say, you're not doing this, because our brains are wired in such a way that you kind of go away from dangerous situations, as it were. And so that for me was key. And not only that, but I find myself, and it comes back to not being bound by a job title. Just because I was a BA didn't mean that I couldn't do something technical. And so I remember there was an AWS deep racer competition that came up, and Jules will probably remember me banging on about this whenever I was at NHS, because I came like third out of the guys at BGSS, and there was no other women that entered this competition. And I thought, well, I'm going to do it because I have, I want to learn. And I remember thinking, I don't really have time. And I thought, no, if you want to do something, you need to change your language. So instead of saying, oh, I'll have to stay late tonight because I'm doing deep racer, I changed that language to, I want to stay late tonight to do this deep racer thing, because it was over an evening. And so I learned how to use Jupyter notebooks and all these things. And it was because I had that thirst. And a lot of people will say, oh, well, I want to be more technical, or I want to learn a skill, but then they don't take action. And that really is the key. The key is to take action and actually just do it, whether you fail, whether you don't, it doesn't really matter. The examples that I gave, I wasn't always rosy in the garden. You know, as I said, I was feeling, you know, worried. I feel like I failed, but I just got back up and I kept on going. And so I suppose, you know, it's that hunger that has then led me to the next journey. And, you know, sometimes I wonder to myself, how did I even end up here? You know, is it just by luck? It is not by luck. It is by hard work. And I was saying this yesterday to a colleague of mine as we were going through, Sophie. She was saying, it's not luck, it's your hard work that has taken you to get there. And I could say that, you know, I could stay in my comfort zone and I could be cozy and I could be warm and I could be secure and all that kind of stuff. But me, myself, I would get bored. I would be bored out of my mind. And even whenever I tell my mum, right, I'm going for this new thing, she was like, yeah, you love stress, don't you? And I used to be, I didn't like to say that I was stressed. I used to see it as a weakness. I used to not tell people whenever I was stressed. And now I do. I tell people why I'm stressed. I say, yeah, I'm stressed out because of this thing, and I'm more vulnerable because I want to reach out to people to ask for help and build that support network. And it's about putting yourself out there, putting yourself on the line and not being afraid of what people think or being worried to fail. And so how did I end up then going from BGSS in this squad lead role to Covéa? And again, it's all about support network. And a guy that I used to work with at NHS, a PO that was there, actually recommended me for a BA role. And so I decided, well, I kind of feel a little bit unchallenged here. I kind of feel like, you know, I'm hungry to do something. I've got used to doing these events. I've got used to going out of my comfort zone. I'm now in my comfort zone at BGSS and I need a different avenue to take. And I remember speaking to Mick, he's actually on the call, our head of engineering. And for me, it wasn't necessarily the company that I was looking for something. It was the person, it was the culture that I was looking for, because I wanted to keep on learning. I had that thing in the back of my mind. And just because I'm here now, I would say that I'm slowly unleashing my potential. Yes, I'm still out of my comfort zone, but you know what? It's a little bit of a double thing, because whilst I'm out of my comfort zone in a brand new role, I come from a BA background. I don't have any experience in, you know, technical or leading technical teams, but someone believed in me. Someone seen my experience and spoke to me and gave me that opportunity so that I could shine. And that's what it's all about, finding a company and people in your support network that see you and see you for someone who has a lot of potential and that could believe in you before you believe in yourself. Again, you know, I'm only into Covéa now a few months and I'm already doing these kind of talks, and I feel really supported to keep on doing that. And you know, one fundamental difference between the events that I've done previously whenever I was, you know, at BGSS, I've never once on LinkedIn shouted about it. Not once have I ever said I'm doing a talk tonight, blah, blah, blah. But now that I've moved over, you know, to Covéa, and it's nothing, you know, about BGSS that they weren't supportive, but it's just a different kind of culture whereby I head of engineering saying, yeah, I'm going to share that, I'm coming tonight. And it's like, well, wow, really? You know, so to have that support network, even though I'm still out of my comfort zone, I've got that support there to help me along. And so what I would say to you guys is just don't worry about it. You know, don't worry if you feel as if you can't do something. As long as you're honest and don't kind of try and sugarcoat loads of things that you can do X, Y, and Z. I was very honest with the head engineering and said, I don't have experience in this area. I do have experience with people. I do have experience with recruitment. I do have experience building practices, but I don't have any experience leading engineers. I haven't got a clue. I haven't done it before. And it's about that, taking a risk on yourself and telling that voice to do one in the back of your head. And so I suppose I was going to at this point stop and ask you guys to think about what advice would you give me? But I'm just mindful of time, and Tasha runs a tight ship, so I'll leave that to the end. And so you've heard me talk about talking to myself, talking to the voice in my head. And so I suppose one of the techniques that I usually use is I talk to myself. So I tell myself, look, 10 years ago, what would you tell yourself? What would my current self tell myself 10 years ago? And it would be that I'm proud of myself. I've managed to achieve a lot in such a small space of time. And I suppose people say, well, what have you achieved? But success is based on the eye of the beholder. So what is it that success means to me, and what success means to you might be two completely different things. But to me, I've been successful. I have a loving family. I've got friends. I've got an amazing support network. And I've got my little dog, Rupert, who's just, I just love him to bits. I'm surprised that he hasn't been barking tonight. And I would say that, you know, there has been challenges along the way, and I've fallen many times, and I just keep on remembering what my mum would say, which is just get yourself back up, pick yourself, and keep on running, and just don't look back. Just keep on going. And there have been times where it's been a real challenge. And as I say, you know, moving over to England in the first place and having no money, I mean, could you imagine? I was only 18, I didn't know any better. I mean, knowing what I know now, I would have at least visited Bradford before I decided to make that jump, but I wasn't that smart. But anyway, and so I suppose, you know, looking to myself now, if 2030 Kathleen could speak to me now, what would she say? And the advice that I would give myself is just keep on striving. You know, as long as you've got passion within you and you want to do these things, just keep on doing it. If you want to do more talks, do it. If you want to write a book, do it. If you want to set up a chapter of X, Y, and Z, then just do it. And sometimes it's about holding yourself accountable. You know, I've went through a few different techniques this evening and talking about various different things. And to me, one of the key things is about keeping yourself accountable. Because if you don't hold yourself accountable and have that commitment, chances are you're not going to do it. And I was chatting with Steve a few weeks ago, and it suddenly dawned on me that I had issues with keeping myself accountable, because I'm so motivated to just do things that I just don't write them down. So if I don't write them down, it's okay if I don't do them. And so I need to start holding myself accountable. So what I would say to you tonight is, I said earlier on that opportunity, you know, doesn't always knock on the door, that you need to go out and get it. This is me knocking on your door and telling you that, I don't know what Carol's saying there, I can see on the screen what we're saying, but yeah, opportunity knocks, and what I'm saying to you guys tonight is I'm knocking on your door. I'm giving you that opportunity to have an accountability coach. If you want to do something, let's do it together. Just hit me up on LinkedIn, drop me a message, whatever it might be. And if it turns out that loads of you want an accountability coach, then fantastic. Let's create a community together. I mean, I know plenty of people at Covéa that would be just absolutely buzzing to help you out, you know, and be that accountability coach. And so I suppose if you're like me and I just need it in black and white, Kathleen, can you just summarize all that stuff and just give me the answers? Because I'm just very black and white. I would say that don't wait for opportunities, because if you wait for opportunities, you're going to miss stuff. And it's that voice in your head. You need to tell her to go. And so that's what I have been doing. And you need your support network. And I don't mean just people at work. I mean people that you live with, people that you're in a relationship with, family. I mean, who else's mum can they say that has been on a webinar? My mum's sitting there, you know, look down, you'll see Patricia Allen in there somewhere. And I'm sure she's probably going to be embarrassed that I called her out, but it's that support network that spurs me on and gives me that motivation. And there's plenty of little things, you know, whenever I'm doing these things around accountability, and you're thinking, well, when did I decide that I wasn't going to be able to do this thing? And I remember, you know, some of the people on the call that actually know me, and they know that I'm a bit of a picky eater, and they would say, well, have you tried this food? And I says, no, because I'm not going to like it. And they said, well, how do you know? And it's like, well, I don't. And they were like, well, you're not even trying. You're not even trying this food. And so I needed to start trying things. And one of the key things that I would say is around making time. You need to make time for things. You know, chances are, if I said to you tonight, if you had an extra hour in the diary or in your day, what would you do with that extra hour? And chances are, you'll probably say, well, I just don't have an extra hour. If you want something really badly, you need to make time. Just like I did with the deep racer thing, and I wanted to increase my technical knowledge, you need to make time for it. And you need to change your language to, for example, I want to go to the gym, not I have to go to the gym tonight. It's because you want to go to the gym. Because life is all about choices. And as I said, it's about telling that voice in your head to just get lost. And the last final thing here that I would say is don't fall into the comparison trap. You know, don't try and beat others. Just worry about yourself, worry about your own journey, and try and beat yourself, because you're your own competition. Level up yourself. And I can guarantee that you will have successes if you do that. And so, as I said, if it hasn't been clear by now where I'm going with this, if that number one thing is, if you don't take action and you want something to change, you're not going to be able to do it if you don't take that action. You know, would you rather be a participant in the sport and actually doing the thing, or would you rather be a spectator? Because if you're a spectator, chances are you're not going to take action. That's me. Thank you so much for listening, folks.
Great, thank you, Kathleen. Okay, so we're going to take some questions now. You can either use the chat function, which hopefully you can all find. There should be a bar across the middle of the screen, and you can type in there, or feel free to come off mute now and just ask any questions that you've got.
I'd be interested to see what everyone's answer would be to what you do with your extra hour, to be honest.
I mean, that's a really good point, Soph. And so if everyone could just take a minute and just, if you think about, and this will probably mess up Tasha's going through questions, but I'll try and keep an eye on them. Think about, if you had an extra hour in the day, what would you do? Just quickly, just write in the chat to the right-hand side, what would you do with that extra hour? So we've got there, learn something new. And I suppose it's that. It's taking that idea of learning something new and actually just doing it. So for example, I decided I had an idea I was going to learn Chinese, I was going to learn Mandarin. And so I'm not perfect at it, but I plucked up the courage and I done it. So if you want to learn something, just go for it, just do it. Pick something and go for it. Need to exercise more, don't we all, Jules? Spend more time with my children. That's the thing, guys, you know, these are all things that if you want these things really badly, you need to make time. There's no excuses. For example, need to exercise more. Well, you don't need to, you want to. You want to exercise more, you want to do these things. I want to spend more time with my children, but I also want to exercise. Take them out and play a game of football or something, and that'll get you moving around, and you're still spending time with your children. I know obviously that's just one example, but it's all these different things. You can make a difference. And as I said earlier on, don't be down, you know, don't be bound by a job title. And you know, I was so happy that, you know, my manager here, Mick, and I'm not saying this just because he's on the call, he saw past that business analyst title and was able to give me this opportunity, because the opportunity that I'm in now isn't necessarily to do with, you know, being in the detail of code. It's about helping teams and inspiring teams and helping getting teams to that next level. I've been doing that for 5 years. I absolutely know how to do that inside and out. What I don't necessarily know how to do is code something, and it doesn't matter because that's not what I'm being assessed on. I think there was another question in there. Was there?
Yeah. Is there anything you regret not trying?
I mean, there's plenty of things. I mean, whenever I went to China a few years ago, I went with my 2 brothers. So I've got 3 brothers, and one of them lives in China. And I just wouldn't try new food. I remember my brother saying, well, you like barbecue, don't you? And I says, well, yeah, I love barbecue, thinking hot dogs, burgers, all that kind of good stuff. No, that's not what he meant by barbecue. What he meant by barbecue was something that you would see in a storage locker. You know, that Storage Wars? It was like one of those little huts with like a freezer half outside. And I thought, oh, I don't know about this. So I definitely have a lot of things that, you know, I wish I had done back then. But, you know, if it makes me who I am now, because I'm able to self-reflect. And I suppose that's what I would say to you guys is just do it. And I suppose to give you an example of my career, whenever I was at Equifax, I was a little, and I know you're probably thinking, her shy, I don't think so, but back then I wasn't as out there and as an extrovert as I am now. And so I didn't ask for help in time. I kind of just left it and was like, there's no opportunities for here, you know, for me here. I'm gonna go, because the mentality was very, if you haven't been here 10 years, you can't be a senior BA. And I got really hung up on that because I thought, well, it's quality, not quantity. And so I didn't ask for help in enough time. I kind of just cried about it, really, if I'm being honest. Whereas whenever I was at BGSS, I really did exhaust all options. I was, you know, what can I do next? Push myself out of my comfort zone. So if you need help, be vulnerable. Ask for help. I mean, some of my peers that are on the call now, you know, like Carl and Paul, I ask them for feedback all the time. I say, guys, I have no idea what I'm doing. Can you help me? And I don't feel judged one bit. Not one bit of me feels judged for asking for help.
Just to help you catch up a bit there, Kathleen, there was a comment from Sophie around what she'd do with an extra hour, and that was really similar to you, learning a new language. Her partner's Nigerian, so she's always wanted to learn it. And then we had a comment from Ziggy who's put, your story is really inspiring with many aspects that they can relate to. Firm believer of self-efficacy and inner belief. And then they've put PS, big respect to your mum for letting you fly and succeed. # life hack.
Do you know what? My mum is my biggest supporter, and she's on the call, and I know she's going to message me later on. I was like, what did you do messaging me? Why did you tell them that I was on the call? I'll read out the message. So she messaged me this morning. She's going to kill me, but what did she say? She says, good luck tonight, Fleur. You go for gold, stand high and don't look down. Love you and proud of you. I mean, what other kind of support could I ask for when I've got that right on tap? And even though she's in Northern Ireland, however many miles away, she's got my back. She's there every step of the way. And every time I do an event, she wants to be there. And it's not just my mum, there's colleagues on this call that have probably dialed in just to give me support. And that's what I was saying about that support network. It is absolutely fantastic because I've been able to break out of that, build relationships. I'll tell you what my day was like today. And so Mick and Paul and that, cover your ears because I do work as well. I end up doing more work. But I started off my day, it was about maybe 2 o'clock, and I reached out to a guy via Meet a Mentor, a guy called Chris. He was absolutely fantastic. And it was my first time meeting him virtually. So I reached out to ask for help as a mentor because he was an engineer. And I thought that's where I want to, take my career next, is learning these things. So that was the first thing. I moved out of my comfort zone. The second thing, I became a mentor maybe around 2 years ago at the University of Bradford. And I've got Kathleen Allen on the call. I don't know if you're on mute, Kathleen, or if you're still there. Are you there?
Yes, I am here, Kathleen.
Hello. And so Kathleen, I've been her mentor now for, I think it's about a year or so. And so again, it's building that network. But I had said to her earlier on, why don't you come to this event later on? Because she has an interview at Covéa tomorrow. So everybody wish her a little bit of luck. Come on, people, I don't hear you wishing her luck. Come on.
Oh, good luck.
Woo. Yeah, so that's the second thing. So I'm helping other people now because I've moved out of my comfort zone. And the third thing is tonight, here I am doing an event, and my internet, I kid you not, had went down, and Soph will tell you, because I was on a call with her earlier on, and the thing just wouldn't work, and she's like, oh my God, what are you going to do? And I was like, it's okay, I'm going to chill.
I have to say, I truly admire Kathleen, and she's a true inspiration, and she's the reason why I came out of my comfort zone. So for the guys that don't know, my last employee, I was there for 30 years.
Wow.
And decided, no, gotta go. It's all right, you two shaking your head. Gotta, and it was through networking with Kathleen and meeting Kathleen that it was like, and giving me that confidence, as well as Mick. I'll give you a side mention. To say, actually, no, I could have stayed there, could have stayed and just retired and just, while my days away, bored, tra-la-la. But I'm like, no, as old as I am.
And you did it.
I did it.
How did it feel? How did it feel when you done it?
And it was so scary. Oh God, so scary. But like you, I'm doing a talk at the next BA meeting about my BJSS journey because it was terrifying. And yeah, and it's just all because of you. So thank you.
Because of you.
Thank you, dear.
Because you yourself made that choice that's what you're going to do. And life really is about choices. And I know a lot of people say, oh, life's not about choices. I have to do this. You don't have to do anything. I remember years ago, whenever your mum would say, oh, you have to do this, and you knew that you were going to feel her wrath if you didn't do it. But the fact of the matter is, you still had a decision not to do it. You were just choosing to do it because you knew you were going to get shouted at if you didn't do it.
And I think they say, don't they, you'll always regret the stuff that you didn't do rather than the stuff that you did do. So, yes.
Definitely. Quite a few questions, so I'll try and get through a few more. So Sophie's asked, when you look for that next step, what research do you do? Do you look at people in that role and see how they got there or something else?
Do you know, I haven't actually. I've always, whenever I moved from Take Data to BJ or to Equifax, it was because I was forced out into that position. And do you know what? I was actually given 2 opportunities. One was more money, but I didn't really see myself as a software configuration analyst. Don't even know what one is, or a business analyst. And the business analyst was actually at less money, but I thought I can get a career in this. And afterwards, I did do a lot of research before I moved company, because I knew that I didn't want to just move into another job. I needed to be learning, and I needed to be doing something. And so for me, whenever I was going for interviews and stuff, it wasn't about necessarily the company, because it is the people that make the company. And I can genuinely say, and I'm not saying it because, you know, they're on the call, genuinely, the people at Covéa, whenever I came here, I just knew I want to work for you. I want to learn from you. That's what I want to do.
Great. Mick's asked, how do you assess that now is the right time for a new challenge? Do you have a coach or a list of questions that you ask yourself?
Right, so let's take that in two bits. Do I have a coach or a mentor? I have loads of different stuff. I reach out to people constantly. So I've got a coach that sometimes, you know, I over the last few weeks I've been working with. I had a mentor for around 4 years or so, and that kind of died off just because I was just getting so busy and so stressed out with work that I kind of let that relationship kind of just die down, which I wish I didn't. And we're still in contact because I have this bad habit, and I'm sure Sophie knows this and other people, and Tony that's on the line. I sometimes forget to respond to a message, and then so much time has passed that you would have been quicker getting a carrier pigeon. So I you know, that would be one of my regrets. And I've just recently reached out to, you know, more people in mentoring because I needed more experience, you know, with people that come from an engineering background, not necessarily business analysis. So yeah, I do have people that I reach out to, and again, it's building that support network. What was the second part of the question, Becky? How do I know when, or not Becky, sorry, Tasha?
Is there a list of questions you ask yourself?
Do you know, it's a feeling, it's a gut feel, you know. As I said earlier on, you know, I've never promoted myself or shared things on LinkedIn before until now. It's just a feeling that it's like, right, I'm ready to do this. And it's that, you know, mentality in my head that, you know, I can absolutely do anything I want to do. I might be a little slow. So whenever I'm at Covéa, you know, Mick's probably think, oh my God, what have I done? But believe me, whenever I say in a few months' time, when I come out of my comfort zone, I will be smashing it. And I know I will, because that is what I have done previously.
Great. So a comment from Tracy. Love your honesty, Kathleen. Great talk. It's really nice. And then a question from Tony. Did you ever feel a specific moment when the internal voice changed or became quieter, or is the self-talk still the same and it's just that you work differently with it now?
It has definitely changed, and you know what it is? It comes with people telling me that I got this. It comes with experience. It comes with believing in myself. I remember whenever I would have done these talks beforehand, as I said, I used to need a couple of months' notice because I needed to prepare something. But, you know, Becky only asked me 2.5 weeks ago to do this. And I thought, well, I'm going to do it because I'm passionate about this stuff. You know, Tasha, you know, says about being a geek. I really am a geek. I do love this stuff. I am quite lucky, and I say the word lucky, it's probably a choice, that I love my job. I love what I do. You know, I don't think everyone can say that.
Lovely. We've got just a comment again from Deepika, which is, you are an inspiration. They needed this tech talk very much at this point in their life. Coming out of your comfort zone is the first step towards success, and I believe that first step is the hardest.
Mm-hmm.
And then a question from John. Your support network is important, and it sounds like you naturally nurture other people. For example, you mentioned finding opportunities for other people to shine.
Mm-hmm.
What day-to-day and week-to-week things do you do to take care for others that are in your network?
So an example today would be, I reached out to Julian. So Julian's currently looking for a BA role. So anyone that can help him out, however, please come to Covéa because we really like you. But again, it's seeing these opportunities and it's reaching out straight away and saying, Jules, Covéa are looking. Kelly Annie earlier on today, she's got an interview tomorrow, and helping her. First of all, whenever I found out that we were looking for data scientists, boom, I was on the phone to Kelly Annie before the roles even landed and said, Kelly Annie, there's going to be this role. Even in my current role, there's just so many opportunities day to day. I work within the data tribe, and you know what engineers are like, they're all very introvert. And I say to them, look, you could shine. You need to be out there. You need to be in people's faces. If you want to do well, you need to be, forget about the job title and already be performing at that level, so that whenever I say, oh, I need a lead engineer, I can already look to someone and think, you'd be fantastic in that role. And so I'm encouraging them the whole way along. Forget about the job title. I don't care if you're junior, senior, whatever. Just keep on doing what you're doing and finding those opportunities. It could be small things, like I could just round things off. You want to share your knowledge, do a lunch and learn. You want to tell someone how to do something, become a mentor. It doesn't have to be in your company. Whenever I was at Equifax, there was no mentors. I had to go outside and find a mentor. And I remember a guy that I used to work with at Equifax saying, you know, you taught me that. And I thought, oh, I'm quite young and I'm teaching other people how to do stuff. This is fantastic. You know, there's just so many things in my day-to-day role that I find that I can do stuff. I mean, if Becky doesn't mind me, you know, I don't even think Becky's on the call, but earlier on today, I spent so much time not necessarily preparing content for this evening. I decided to create a little graphic, which is my be bold, be brave lion. And then Becky used the picture. I was like, this is fantastic, because then another idea buzzed off me. I was thinking, oh, we could use this as a template within LinkedIn. So seriously, just let your imagination run free. Sometimes I say, don't be bound by your imagination and just let those ideas run free. And I know Jules and we went to, whenever I spoke at Leeds DigiFest, was it last year? And I had said, no idea is silly until you come to evaluate it. So yeah, there is silly ideas, but just let those ideas flow. What are you going to do to challenge yourself this evening? If there was one thing that you guys could do, what's it going to be? And actually, you've inspired me to ask you guys, what should I do next? You know, don't wait. As I said before, so I'm going to post something on LinkedIn after this, either later on this evening or tomorrow. I have no idea what Mick's saying, but he's minding something. What he's saying, Mick?
It looks bad. You're happy about it.
I'm saying, for Christ's sake, don't leave already.
No, I'm going to post a challenge, and I'm going to ask you guys, what should my next challenge be? And I don't necessarily mean moving jobs, because I'm absolutely loving life where I am. I mean things like, I don't know, is it another race? Does someone want to do something with me? Whatever it is, let's see what comes out.
I think you should just show Mick how it's done. Get him out.
You're going to get me sacked.
Right, okay. I'll just read a few bits of feedback. There's just a few comments, so I'll read them, and then we'll move on to the last question that's in there at the moment. So a couple more comments. I've got to read these out. Samantha, there's a few directed at you, so in case you haven't seen them. Mick said, super happy you found an amazing job. And also Martin says you're great at improv.
Hi, Martin. Yes, I am. See, that was another thing. I know it sounds really odd, doesn't it? But it's like you take the step to get out of your comfort zone, and then you're like, there's an improvisation session, lunch and learn. I'm going to go do that. Best thing ever. It was it.
Oh, Sam, I'm so proud of you. I really am.
Mick said, not a question, just to be clear, Kathleen is already smashing it. Bowled over by how much you've delivered in a short time and in awe of the positive force that you are. Thank you to all on the call who coached, mentored and influenced her to create such an awesome positive force in the West Yorkshire community. And then Cal said, our engineering managers at Covéa have a diverse background, and that is its strength. We can and do call upon different experiences, and Kathleen, you strengthen that as well. Someone's wrote Covéa 10K. I'm not sure what that's.
You're getting put into another race there by the sounds of it, Kathleen.
Yeah, that'll be it.
If I'm doing it, you're doing it with me. I said earlier, let's do this together. Guys, it took me 3 hours to do that race.
Gosh. Yamini said, thank you for sharing your story, and she's glad she spent her spare hour, and joining the call.
Awesome.
And from Samantha, you're an inspirational leader. Doesn't surprise her that you are smashing it already. So I'll just move back to the other question, which is from Paul, and that is, did it work giving your inner voice a name, and why did you choose Darcy?
Do you know, I remember chatting, as I say, with the colleague that put me in touch with the book, and I remember she called her something, so I thought, I'm going to call mine something, and Darcy just came out. I didn't really give it a lot of thought as to where it came from, but you know, the voice, and it sounds crazy because I'm talking about talking to myself and talking in the future to myself and talking to the past. I'm not crazy. It's okay. You can follow what I'm saying. But it really is that it comes with time, and it comes with putting yourself out of your comfort zone, and it comes with having a support network. I can't tell you how much it's meant to me having friends and I call them friends. There's friends on this call that I have met along the way, and I couldn't have done it without you. So I thank you. I thank you for making me the person that I am.
Awesome. Is there any more questions? We've still got another 5 minutes. If anyone's got any comments or anything that they want to add.
I just think it's been a really good talk. I think everyone in lockdown needed this. They needed to know that not everyone's got it together, and although people seem like they've got it together, that's not always the case. So I think I've took that away from it more than anything. Oh, we've got a dog.
I couldn't do it without bringing Rupert into it, now could I?
But no, thank you for talk. That's what I've took away from it.
Awesome, thanks, Sophie.
Great. Okay. Any more?
No, just thank you from me. Thanks, Kathleen. Been good
You're
to see
very welcome. And remember what I said, guys, and I always say this, and Sam, I know I said this to you whenever I was at events, whenever I was speaking previously. Come and speak to me if you want something. You know, just reach out and ask for help, and you did, and we spoke and we chatted and all that kind of good stuff. I'm challenging you to come and tell me you want an accountability coach, or I want an idea, or I need inspiration. And if there is enough of us, we could make a difference. We could make a charge. And don't get me wrong, I'm saying this now, it might fall flat in its face, but if I don't give these suggestions, it might not happen.
I've got to just read this comment out that I've just noticed come through from John. He said, thank you. He's got a big interview tomorrow with Haribo and is now feeling re-energized.
Awesome. I mean, you know, just talking to people. I was chatting to my colleague Paul earlier on, and we were both, for whatever reason, feeling a little bit deflated, and we were just bouncing off each other, you know, just chatting and having a bit of a laugh. And sometimes that's all you need. And I was saying, sometimes even before this tonight, I have a song that I listen to, you know, to kind of get me pumped up and in the zone, and it's Jay-Z and Rihanna, which is Run This Town, and I listen to that whenever I'm getting in the mood to go smash it. There's all these little tips and techniques that you can use, and just don't be afraid, be bold and be brave, people.
Amazing. Okay, I'm going to end on our very own Michael Holden has just posted a bit of a shameless plug. Obviously, he's looking for all sorts of amazing people. So if anyone on the call is like Kathleen, of course, and also fancies a change, please contact him on LinkedIn. And thank you all very much for joining, and have a lovely evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kathleen.
Thanks.
Brilliant, well done.